In anthropology and archaeology, one fact stands out. No culture has ever been discovered without religion. While beliefs and rituals vary, some form of religious practice exists in every known human society. And although we now live in largely secular societies, many who identify as non-religious may still hold beliefs that function a lot like religion, providing purpose, meaning, and a sense of belonging. Most religions revolve around a transcendent being, a god or higher power beyond the physical world. But why have humans across all times and places believed in such beings? This video explores that question from a scientific perspective, and while some of this may challenge certain beliefs, that's not the goal. As someone who holds faith myself, I believe science and belief don't have to be enemies. Some say that gods were invented to explain the unknown, like how ancient people explained thunder as Zeus's anger. But that explanation feels incomplete, because humans can explain the world without gods. As early as ancient Greece, people developed natural philosophy, an early form of science that sought to explain the universe using logic, not myth. And yet, even as scientific understanding grew, belief in gods didn't disappear. To understand why, we'll turn to the work of evolutionary psychologist and neuroscientist Robin Dunbar, author of How Religion Evolved. His ideas don't claim to explain everything, but they offer a compelling and deeply human lens on the origins of belief. One theory Dunbar critiques is Karl Marx's famous claim that religion is the opium of the people, a tool used by elites to pacify the masses. Dunbar argues this doesn't hold up. For one, many hierarchical societies allowed religious freedom. More importantly, religion often emerges from below, not above. Throughout history, oppressed communities have created new religions, not as tools of control, but as sources of hope, identity, and resistance. This suggests something deeper. Religion must provide real benefits, not just for elites, but for everyone. Otherwise, it wouldn't have evolved in every culture, in every corner of the world. So, what does religion do for us? Dunbar focuses on one key ingredient: endorphins. Endorphins reduce pain, boost immune function, and create a sense of connection and well-being. For social animals, especially those living in groups, managing stress and maintaining bonds is a matter of survival. Most animals live in loose associations. They band together briefly when needed, then go their separate ways. But primates are different. They form deep, long-term social bonds. They stay close, monitor each other, and build strong trust within the group, likely because it helps them cooperate, share resources, and defend against threats. But group living has a downside: chronic stress. Being alone means freedom. You eat when you want, sleep when you want. But living in a group means dealing with schedules, conflict, and, let's be honest, some very annoying neighbors. To manage that stress, primates evolved grooming, picking through each other's fur. Not just for hygiene, but for bonding. Grooming releases endorphins and builds trust. The more primates groom each other, the stronger their social bonds. Humans are no different. We also respond to physical touch. A hug, a massage, even a kind pat on the back can lower stress and boost mood. But here's the twist: grooming doesn't scale. You can only physically groom a handful of people each day. So how do you maintain trust and cohesion in a group of hundreds or even thousands? This is where religion may have stepped in. Dunbar suggests that religion evolved as a kind of mass grooming ritual. Religious rituals trigger endorphin release, reduce stress, and help large groups feel bonded as one. Early religion wasn't formalized. It didn't begin with dogma or clergy, but with shamanism. Fluid, emotionally charged rituals that often induced trance-like states. We can still see this in modern-day Bushman communities. As people live closely together, small conflicts naturally arise. If left unresolved, tension can grow into dangerous feuds. One traditional solution? Trance rituals. When stress builds up, community members may request a ritual to help reset group emotions. These ceremonies push participants into altered states of consciousness. Afterward, tensions ease and a renewed sense of unity emerges. What's going on in the brain? Trance states activate endorphin pathways, increasing pain tolerance and emotional resilience. And here's a crucial insight: nearly all religious traditions involve synchronized group activity: chanting, singing, storytelling, dancing, bowing. Why? Because synchronized behavior turbocharges endorphin release. Consider aerobic exercise. We know it boosts endorphins. But in one study, rowers training in sync experienced twice the endorphin surge compared to those rowing alone. The same applies to rituals. Even something as simple as listening to a moving story together has a stronger emotional impact than experiencing it alone. These collective activities don't just reduce stress, they forge trust. Our brains reward coordinated action with feel good chemicals, which we unconsciously associate with those around us, and the effect is amplified when we act toward a shared goal or meaning. This leads to an unexpected conclusion. In religion, the ritual may matter more than the god. The idea of a singular, all powerful deity is relatively recent. Many traditional societies don't believe in a specific god, but in vague spiritual forces. Yet they still sing, dance, and gather around shared rituals. Take East Asian shamanism. People may speak of spirits or ancestors, but not of a centralized, all knowing god. Still, rituals like gut are performed with precision and full communal participation. This suggests that shared activity, not divine doctrine, may have been the original foundation of religion. So, how did the idea of a personal God emerge? One with thoughts, emotions, and a will. To answer that, we need to look at a powerful human ability, theory of mind, the capacity to imagine what others are thinking and feeling. Children begin developing this around age 4 or 5. Before that, they assume everyone sees the world just as they do. But once theory of mind kicks in, we can infer others' beliefs, intentions, and perspectives, even when unspoken. It's an incredibly sophisticated skill, built over years of brain development, and it may have played a key role in the birth of gods, not just as forces of nature, but as thinking beings with intentions and agendas. Our brains already work overtime just to process the world around us. Now imagine adding another layer, simulating someone else's experience of that same world. Not just seeing through your own eyes, but imagining how someone else sees, thinks, and feels. Robin Dunbar describes theory of mind as the ability to run two models of reality simultaneously. This alone requires serious cognitive horsepower. But there's more. Theory of mind is recursive. Let's say Max is angry. That's first level. Now, Tyler thinks Max is angry. Second level. But we can keep going. Alice thinks Tyler believes Tom loves her, and that hurts Max's feelings, which Claire believes. That's fifth level. And yes, our brains are already sweating. In theory, you could keep stacking these layers infinitely. In practice, most humans max out around 5 levels. Add one more and things get murky. Philosopher Daniel Dennett calls this mental state intentionality, that is directed at or about some things like believing, hoping, or fearing. Basic first-order intentionality is easy. I believe Max is hurt. But higher-order intentionality is where theory of mind truly begins. I believe Max is angry. A belief about a mental state. It's this recursive layering, this ability to stack perspectives that makes human social life possible. We live in large, complex groups, full of alliances, conflicts, and shifting reputations. To navigate this social jungle, we had to become experts at predicting what others think about us and about each other. This kind of reasoning relies heavily on the neocortex, the part of the brain responsible for higher cognition. And it's here that Dunbar makes a bold claim. Theory of mind is what made belief in gods possible. Why? Because theory of mind isn't just for people. It lets us project minds onto anything. We can look at a river, a mountain, or a storm, and imagine it has thoughts, intentions, even emotions. This was the cognitive leap that gave rise to supernatural belief. But imagining a personal God, a being with opinions, goals, and moral judgments, is an even more advanced leap. It requires multiple layers of intentionality. Think about it. You're not just imagining a divine being. You're imagining that being's thoughts, its view of the world, its expectations, its judgments. God sees me. God knows what I've done. God wants me to act a certain way. But it doesn't stop there. Religious belief usually involves a shared worldview. You also believe that others believe in this God, and that this God is aware of all of you, and that it responds to how humans behave, both individually and collectively. That's at least fifth level intentionality. This kind of mental model is incredibly sophisticated. It could only emerge in a species with rich social lives, layered communication, and powerful brains. Traditionally, historians have credited the agricultural revolution for humanity's population boom. The story goes, once humans started farming, they settled down, produced more food, and population skyrocketed. But Dunbar challenges this idea. According to archaeological evidence, early agriculture was terribly inefficient. In fact, many hunter-gatherers lived healthier, freer, and more sustainable lives than the first farmers. Farming in its early stages wasn't a leap forward. It was backbreaking labor with poor returns. Meanwhile, hunter-gatherers in fertile regions often had plenty of food and more leisure time. So why did we give up the good life? Dunbar's answer: war. As competition between groups intensified, survival began to favor those who could form larger, more organized communities. Early human settlements were often built on defensible terrain, hilltops, rocky outcrops, suggesting that security, not agriculture, was the driving force behind permanent settlements. And the ancient world? It wasn't peaceful. Archaeologists have uncovered massacre sites where men were scalped and no women were buried, likely taken as captives. Even modern DNA studies tell the same story. In eastern England, many women still carry the indigenous Celtic ancestry, while most men descend from Anglo-Saxon invaders, evidence of conquest and replacement. In a world of warfare, nothing mattered more than survival. Eventually, scaling up became a matter of life or death. But hunter-gatherer life wasn't designed for scale. Mobile groups were limited by the availability of wild food. Each territory could only support a handful of people. Farming and herding, on the other hand, allowed permanent settlement and population growth. But this came at a cost: stress. Human brains evolved to manage about 150 stable relationships. Beyond that, trust breaks down, conflict rises, and social tension becomes a chronic condition. And this is where Dunbar introduces a compelling idea. Religion emerged as a stress management tool. In small bands, occasional rituals were enough to hold people together. But large, anonymous communities needed something more. This is likely when religion formalized, with regular ceremonies, priestly roles, and shared beliefs. Not just to worship, but to regulate emotion, enforce norms, and build group identity. And we have data to back this up. Studies show that as population density increases in small-scale societies, so do homicide rates. In tight-knit groups, more people doesn't just mean more neighbors, it means more explosive conflict. To grow safely, societies needed powerful tools to manage internal pressure, and religion became one of the most effective. With its rituals, stories, and synchronized group behaviors, it worked like a psychological thermostat, releasing endorphins, reducing stress, and forging trust between strangers. In short, religion evolved not to explain the stars, but to hold us together. Let's end by zooming in on one of the most complex ideas in human history: the personal God. As we've seen, believing in the supernatural is not the same as believing in a well-defined deity, especially one with a mind, emotions, and intentions. A personal God requires an advanced theory of mind. It's not just about sensing mystical forces in nature, it's about imagining how a God sees the world, and how others relate to that God morally and emotionally. According to Dunbar, this mentally demanding idea likely emerged as societies scaled up, not just in size but in complexity. The bigger the group, the harder it becomes to enforce cooperation. That's where a personal God comes in. If you believe in a God who sees your actions, judges your behavior, and rewards or punishes accordingly, your motivation to follow the rules becomes much stronger. This doesn't mean religion was invented by elites to control the masses. Dunbar rejects that Marxist idea. Instead, he suggests that religion evolved as a collective solution to the problems of scale, external threats, internal tension, and the need for shared purpose. So here's the core of Dunbar's theory. Humans evolved to live in tight-knit, emotionally bonded groups. This pushed the development of theory of mind, our ability to understand what others think and feel. That ability let us imagine supernatural minds, the first gods. But as societies grew, so did stress, and rituals evolved to relieve it. Religion became a kind of mass grooming. a way to release endorphins and build trust at scale. And eventually, the idea of a personal God emerged, a moral anchor strong enough to hold entire civilizations together. What do you think? Why do you think humans believe in gods? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to read them. Thanks so much for watching.